I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, an Israeli man is stabbed in a Jerusalem terror attack. Protests against U.S. President Donald Trump continue in the Palestinian Territories. And a new Israeli invention may save thousands of lives in the aftermath of natural disasters. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. Breaking news in Jerusalem, an Israeli security guard has been stabbed outside the city's central bus station by a Palestinian from the West Bank. The 25-year-old man is currently in critical condition and is being treated by first responders. Authorities are calling this an act of terror. The stabbing comes amidst fierce Palestinian protests just days after U.S. President Donald Trump officially recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital and announced plans to move the embassy from Tel Aviv. That decision sparked worldwide outrage and protest, especially in Gaza and the West Bank, where violent riots erupted throughout the weekend. Police have just confirmed that the stabber has been arrested at the scene of the crime and that he illegally entered Israeli territory from the West Bank. Palestinian outrage has erupted in the wake of President Trump's bombshell recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital and his plan to relocate the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Riots in the Palestinian West Bank have carried through the weekend, resulting in violent clashes with Israeli soldiers. At this time, 2 Palestinians have been confirmed killed. Anywhere from hundreds to 1,000 Palestinians are also believed to be injured in those clashes. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is pushing his citizens to continue the protests and is recalling all Palestinian officials from their posts in Washington, D.C.
اتصلنا مع كل العالم ومن حسن الحظ أننا وجدنا تجاوبا من كل دول العالم في أوروبا وآسيا والبابا وأفريقيا، وحتى سمعنا آراء من دول قريبة جدا من أمريكا أنها لا تؤيد أمريكا في هذا التصرف. فالرأي العام العالمي مهم. طبعا الفعاليات التي تجري الآن في كل العالم ما فيها الأراضي العربية في فلسطين والأردن وغيرها فعاليات مهمة، كلها رسائل لترامب بأن ما فعله جريمة لا يمكن القبول بها إطلاقا.
Although sources say the riots weakened somewhat as the weekend went on, Hamas rocket fire from Gaza has just struck a children's kindergarten in the Israeli town of Sderot. Although the building has sustained damage, there was no one inside at the time. The Israeli army has launched a swift counterattack in return, bombing 4 Hamas facilities in the Gaza Strip and killing 2 Hamas militants. Hamas is promising a third bloody intifada terror wave in Israel. And now that first blood has been spilt, many are bracing for even more violence to come.
نعلنها انتفاضة في أرجاء فلسطين على مستوى الداخل والخارج في وجه المحتل وفي وجه المحتل الأمريكي. لا يوجد اليوم أنصاف حلول ولا خطوط حمراء لنطلق العنان لأبناء شعبنا ليعبروا عن جهادهم وعن استنكارهم، ولتنتشر العمليات العسكرية في كل مكان خاصة في الضفة الغربية.
The Israeli army has just destroyed a Hamas terror tunnel extending from Gaza deep into Israeli territory. IDF officials believe this was an especially substantial project for the terror group and actually monitored it for a long period of time before demolishing it. This comes just a month and a half after the army destroyed a terror tunnel from Gaza, which killed 14 members of the Islamic Jihad terror group. Breakthrough new Israeli tech detected both that tunnel and this new one, which is why both Israel's defense minister and its intelligence minister now believe the era of tunnel threats may be coming to an end. The army maintains that there is no connection between the timing of this new demolition and the wave of Palestinian protests in light of President Trump's bombshell declaration on Jerusalem. Well, in light of the intense violence and unrest since Trump's announcement, Israel has deployed fresh troops in an effort to calm the situation. ILTV's Brett Allen Smith is here with the details. And Brett, given all of the turmoil that we're seeing here, what has Israel's overall response been so far?
Well, I'd say the Army is taking zero chances here. The IDF's been beefing up security throughout the country, especially in Jerusalem and especially in certain West Bank hotspots that tend to get especially violent. Now, typically that's in major cities like Bethlehem and Hebron, but in this case we're seeing extreme clashes along the Gaza border as well. One thing we are hearing, though, is that the riots may have actually calmed somewhat as the weekend went along, but given today's stabbing attack, the violence clearly isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Right. Well, there was the stabbing today and over the weekend. An Israeli child was lightly injured in a rock-throwing incident in the West Bank to a 9-year-old. Right. So, I mean, this might really all just be getting started. But if the rioting is actually cooling off, as people say it is, how would you explain that?
Well, I will say that Israel, for its part, did something really smart. Now, they didn't disrupt the status quo on the Temple Mount. They didn't restrict or block prayer at Al-Aqsa Mosque. They didn't set any new security boundaries for Muslim worshippers. And I think that was a really wise move, because the moment that this becomes a religious drama, or when Palestinians, feel a change on their rights on the ground, that's when this clashes really can turn bloody, as we saw over the summer. Now, let's be honest here, you can't say Trump and Netanyahu didn't see things were going to get ugly like this, which is why the U.S. asked Israel to scale down its celebration of this announcement and actually forbid its own officials in Israel from entering the Old City or any parts of the West Bank.
All right, well, Brett, thank you for joining us with the update. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas was set to meet with U.S. Vice President Mike Pence this month to discuss the U.S. plan for Middle East peace. But the Palestinians have officially called off that meeting, saying that Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital means the end of America's role as any kind of impartial peace negotiator.
بالتأكيد نحن كنا قد أخذنا قراراً لأنه لن يكون هناك أي اتصال رسمي من أي مسؤول فلسطيني مع أي مسؤول أمريكي. هذا القرار ملتزمون به حتى كما تعلمون هناك زيارة لنائب الرئيس الأمريكي بنس إلى فلسطين في 19 من هذا الشهر. تم الإعلان رسميا أن الرئيس محمود عباس لن يلتقي بنائب الرئيس الأمريكي بنس.
President Trump famously campaigned on his promise to deliver the ultimate deal of Mideast peace between Israel and the Palestinians. Palestinian President Abbas had been holding out for a U.S.-led peace effort in hope of a favorable deal. Until now, that is. In light of Trump's bombshell declaration, Arab leaders from all over the world are denouncing America's sudden shift in foreign policy, one that they say threatens religious freedom, stability, and any hopes of peace in the region.
نحن نريد السلام خيارا استراتيجيا نطلبه حقا لكل شعوب المنطقة شاملا ودائما لكن لا سلام من دون فلسطين حرة مستقلة ذات سيادة على التراب الوطني الفلسطيني لا سلام من دون القدس حرة وعاصمة للدولة الفلسطينية.
President Trump did mention in his speech that the U.S. still backs a two-state solution, but leaders wonder how that's still possible anymore now that a third party has made a unilateral decision regarding one of the deal's most contentious points. Well, amidst fierce European outrage over Trump's now infamous Jerusalem decision, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is heading into the lion's den. The Prime Minister has just flown to meet with the President of France before meeting with a delegation of European foreign ministers to address the current state of Israeli-Palestinian affairs. Top European leaders have denounced Trump's decision to officially recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. That's because they all worry that such a move destroys any hopes for a peace plan and resets decades of efforts to improve the situation. Prime Minister Netanyahu, however, sees a glaring contradiction in the European denouncement.
אני מייחס חשיבות רבה מאוד לאירופה, אני מכבד את אירופה, אבל אינני מוכן לקבל מוסר כפול ממנה. ואני שומע משם קולות גינוי להכרזה ההיסטורית של הנשיא טראמפ, אבל לא שמעתי קולות גינוי לירי הרקטות נגד ישראל שבא בעקבותיה ולהסתה האיומה נגדנו. אני אינני מוכן לקבל את הצביעות הזאת, וכרגיל גם בפורום החשוב הזה אני אייצג את האמת של ישראל ללא מורא ובראש מורם.
The president of the Czech Republic has just echoed those sentiments, calling European countries cowards for failing to defend Trump's decision. Despite this approval, Israel and the United States stand virtually alone against most of the world's leaders. Leaders who argue that the U.S. had no right to make a unilateral decision without leaving it to Israelis and the Palestinians to work out for themselves. Hundreds have turned out in Paris, greeting Netanyahu's visit with protest signs and anger. About 24,000 people are considered blind in Israel, and now an Israeli startup has developed a revolutionary new product to help these people navigate our world. Joining us is Isidore Gershkovich, the CEO of We Go Vision. Thank you so much for coming in.
Hey, hello.
So what does your company do exactly?
We are developing a product for blind and visually impaired population worldwide. It's an advanced technological project. And in general terms, it's just helping them to moving confidence, for mobility.
Right. To have the freedom, essentially, to move on the street without being fearful of getting hurt. So what product are you offering now? Because you're about to launch your first product, correct?
But we are in very initial stage of the development. And the product is, in fact, a guide product. It's based on computer vision technology in addition with artificial intelligence. It will provide a capability of mobility and obstacle detection.
Okay, and how does that work? It's a camera of sorts?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a camera system which is getting these video streams. And with a software, a sophisticated software, it's provided.
So the person using it straps that camera to their body, and then when they're walking around on the street, it helps indicate if they're about to run into something or hit something.
Yeah, and where to go.
Oh, and where to go as well. Okay, very interesting. So it's kind of like a Waze or GPS that's on your body.
Yeah, it's kind of a mobile eye for for preventing impact between people and obstacles.
So how did you guys come up with this idea?
The idea was coming because I'm volunteering with blind and visually impaired riding tandem bikes. It's the volunteers, they're sitting in the front pedaling, and the blind and visually impaired, they pedaling from the behind.
Right.
So we spent about twice a week, a few hours together, and sometimes we have these rides, biking rides in Israel and abroad as well. So we have a lot of idea of what is their requirements, how we can leverage our technological knowledge, to provide the solution they need.
Well, I mean, it seems like you guys have created something that is, has the potential to impact a lot of people. Obviously, you're in the initial stages, so you're looking for funding and investors, right? So for those of you who are interested in learning more about Isidore's, the name of the product again is?
Go Freedom.
Go Freedom. Go Freedom. Yeah, check out his company.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. All right, Israel has been providing critical aid for Syrians impacted by the horrific civil war for quite some time now. But we've just learned that the army has actually gone deep into Syrian territory to set up a life-saving maternity clinic stocked with Israeli tech and equipment. The clinic is staffed by Syrian healthcare workers and runs entirely on Israeli aid. The IDF actually set up the facility at the urgent request of Syrian doctors who realized that hundreds of Syrian women were cut off from maternity care due to dire conditions in Syria. Israel went into Syrian territory to build the clinic about a month ago, and 200 pregnant women have received treatment there, with 30 of them giving birth thanks to the Israeli medical aid. Israel launched Operation Good Neighbor nearly a year and a half ago to help Syrians suffering from the civil war and hopefully improve relations with Syrians on the border. To date, thousands of Syrians have received treatment from Israel in one way or another, with many of them saying they no longer see Israel as an enemy, but for the first time as a friend. Joining us now in the studio is Daphne Navarro, the CEO, founder, and editor-in-chief of the only two international magazines for fine art and photography that are based here in Israel, Art Market Magazine and Lens Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so tell us a little bit about these magazines. Where are they distributed right now, and what kind of content do they feature?
Well, we have a worldwide distribution, also in Barnes & Noble bookstores in all over USA.
Oh, wow.
Also in Canada. We also sold free hard copies in Alaska. This is an achievement.
That is a big achievement, all the way out in Alaska. So you are dealing with fine art, but also you're dealing with auctions and
exhibitions worldwide, yes, and art fairs. Actually, this today, it's the last day of Red Dot Miami and Spectrum Miami.
Okay.
And we are doing a big campaign over there for distribution, the Gold List magazine, and we give a full subscription, a full annual subscription to all visitors of those
Very interesting.
outfits.
So why did you decide to create an international art magazine from here in Israel instead of just, making one in Hebrew?
Well, I came to the understanding that both magazines should get exposure, international exposure.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that art is a global market.
Yeah, and it goes beyond language, it goes beyond nation.
Boundaries of countries and limitations of languages.
Well, and I think it's important too because there's such amazing art that's coming from here in Israel, but people don't necessarily know that it exists because they're not looking for art in the...
although we are not exhibiting only Israeli art.
Right, you're also exhibiting international art as well.
Yes, we had exclusive interviews with Jeff Koons, for example, and with Liz Sterling from Sotheby's. She is the head of the American Art Department at Sotheby's. We had the coverage of the World Press Photo. We had.
Who would have known that this magazine was based from here in Israel, right? You wouldn't expect that it was an Israeli publication. So I understand that there's actually some big news for your company as well right now, correct?
Yes, we are now media partners of Redwood Media Group.
Okay.
We made an exclusive interview actually with Eric Smith, which is the CEO and founder of the Redwood Media Group.
Okay.
And now we are full partners, and we do full distribution in those art fairs. We are now in the last day of the Red Dot Miami and Spectrum Miami art fair, the big art shows.
Wow.
And we do distribution over there with the Gold List, our special magazine. We also give annual subscription to all visitors in those art fairs.
Wow.
Those are the main art fairs. We will be also doing a big campaign in the Art Expo New York in April.
Well, so for those of our viewers who are interested in checking out the artwork that is featured in these incredible magazines and are also interested in picking up something that's based from here in Israel, then these are the magazines that you should check out, right? Art Market Magazine and Lens Magazine.
Yeah, in Stimatsky, in Barnes & Noble, and all over the U.S.
Beautiful. Well, listen, Daphne, thank you so much for coming in and telling us about this. I don't think we would have ever known about this unless you had come in. Thanks, Daphne.
Thank you.
Rescue robots are becoming more and more commonly used to find survivors in places that are dangerous to humans. But an Israeli startup is taking things up a notch in a way that may save countless lives. They've just hatched their very own robotic rooster, which can both walk and fly. He may look small, but the rooster, as he's called, definitely has it where it counts. Measuring a mere 30 by 40 centimeters and wrapped in a metal cage, this amazing new robot can withstand a 6-foot fall and cross almost any kind of terrain. And if it finds itself up against an obstacle too big to roll over, well, like a real rooster, it can fly if it has to. Israel's Robatikan startup company is the brain behind this crazy invention, which they believe may save countless lives as a rescue robot in virtually any kind of disaster situation. The little bot is fully autonomous, and get this, even if there's no cell connection, a network of roosters can actually create their own wireless network and relay info back to the base camp. The IDF actually took a rooster or two with them a few months back to help with earthquake cleanup in Mexico. But soon we'll be seeing way more robotic fowl out there in the field. What better way to really enjoy the stunning view of the old city of Jerusalem than from above? And no, not on a flight leaving the Holy Land, but on a cable car tour. Well, that's just what Jerusalem is planning to do to show tourists from around the world the wonders of our country. And ILTV's Emmanuel Kadosh has some more details.
Hi, Natasha. Yes, well, we've seen the idea of cable cars in many different settings, in ski resorts, in cities all over the world like London, Barcelona, and even Singapore. And now the idea is heading to the Holy Land. It's been reported that within the next 5 years, airborne cable cars are set to be carrying passengers above the scenic view of the old city walls to the Western Wall. And the best part, all of this for the price of your regular electronic public transportation ticket, Rav-Kav.
Oh, that's super cheap. I take the bus every day, and it doesn't cost me more than around 12 shekels round trip. So that's less than $5. So if the cable car tickets aren't going to be very expensive, how much did this project actually cost?
Okay, so the price to get on this floating adventure may not be out of this world, but the project itself reportedly cost 200 million shekels. Wow. It's been approved by the government back in May, and like I said, it is set to be operational during 2021. The cable car tour will cover around a 1.4-kilometer route and will go up to 21.6 kilometers per hour with 41 cars carrying around 10 passengers per car. Around 3,000 people could be transported per hour in each direction.
Wow, that's a lot of people seeing these historic sites in just 1 hour. And I really wonder what this will do to the amount of tourists that come to visit Jerusalem. But before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this project hasn't been without a bit of controversy, especially given the landmark issue in Israel.
Of course, exactly. While the cable car tour does draw in some debate, especially with it being in Jerusalem, of course, and having it go over some Arab neighborhoods, all the parties involved, including the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage, the Ministry of Tourism, and a few more parties, state that on top of the fact that this will become an exceptional tourist attraction, the cable car tour is a quiet, non-polluting transport solution. In other words, it will lower traffic issues and set to reduce private vehicle traffic by 30%. Wow. So I'm pretty sure it doesn't get better than that.
It really doesn't, and I'm hoping that more people will start looking at it that way. Either way, thank you for joining us, Emmanuel.
Thanks.
Most children know what it's like to have performed in a choir during school, but I'm not sure how many of them received international awards for their performances. I know at my elementary school, we certainly didn't. And joining us now in the studio is 17-year-old singer Yotam Rotem and the musical director and conductor at Israel's award-winning Moran choirs. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Happy to be here.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what Moran choir does.
First of all, I established this choir 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago. And we are now 6 choirs, including from age 4 to 30 and more.
Yeah, well, so we have a 17-year-old here, so you've been performing with them for quite some time, right?
I've been singing in the Moran choir for 5 years now,
wow.
Which is not much compared to many others who've been there for more than a decade.
Wow, okay, and you said the performers are usually from age 4 to 30. That's a huge range. So where are the performers from for the most part? All over Israel, or?
They're coming from our area, Emek Hefer Valley.
Okay.
Villages, kibbutzim, Netanya. And we are more than 200 children and young singers.
And I understand that you're also working with at-risk youth, correct?
Yes.
We are.
Yeah, so tell us about how that works.
I work with children with special needs. And our young choir works with children at risk. So we have, each choir is connected to a different group in society, and our main mission is to connect those groups in excellent music.
Right, through art, obviously.
Exactly,
I mean, because when you have good art programming, it also, it leads to a lot more creativity as well. So, and it's interesting, you said you started when you were very young doing this. How has being part of Moran choirs impacted your life as a singer?
As a singer, of course, my level of singing has developed greatly. Mm-hmm. But I think beyond that, we learn about self-discipline, about love, about giving other people, about donation. And,
about tolerance.
About tolerance, exactly.
About accepting other people,
yeah.
You know.
And I mean, beyond just being a singer, you're also performing now, right? So this is kind of open doors for you to kind of learn how to do that.
Yes.
You're acting as well. I think you told that before. We sat down for the interview, which is very interesting to hear too. So where can we see one of your performances?
Maybe you talked about the Midnight Summer Dream in the opera.
We are working on a new production in the Israeli opera, A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wow.
It will be premiered in January. We also have a play, you could say that, a musical play in Tzavta, which is called Gonvei Neshikot.
Okay, so this is something that we're all going to have to try out. And again, you said the age range in this specific performance, is it?
In our choir is about, I think, 12 to 18.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. All right, well, I want to check this out myself. And thank you guys so much for coming in.
Please
you can see that you're a very well put together young man, and I hope that Moran choir is why. But again, everybody check out their beautiful music. We're going to show a little sample of it after this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Big things often come from small places, so today our word is godel, meaning size. Coming from the same root as gadol, meaning large, godel can refer to sizes of shoes and clothing, sizes of buildings, sizes of planets, and really anything else you want to size up. So, for example, the next time you're wondering about the bang for your buck at the falafel stand, you can ask ma godel, meaning what's its size, to find out. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be clear with a rise in temperatures to a low of about 52 or 11 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow you can expect the skies to be a bit more cloudy, but the temperatures to rise again to a high of nearly 75 or 24 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.52 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.